Okay, hello everybody. Hello. So I'm actually redoing a voice note that I had done a couple of days ago. I think I put up a poll about it on the diaries, the Instagram story. And I was like, who wants a voice note of me complaining and being manic and talking about music and touring and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people said yes, which I super appreciate you guys for saying yes. But I listened back to it and I was like, I can't post this. Like, it was too much complaining and just not the right energy. And I think the moment has just passed. I'm feeling a lot better today and the sun is actually out. So I'm happy. And instead, I want to make a voice note that's like more positive, not to say that you can't be negative on the timeline. And I think it's good to complain, but I think that I'm just trying to be more positive and in a more mental state of more gratitude, because I'm hoping that will help me manifest faster, better, and just, be generally more content with life, or at least encourage more contentment with life, because I actually am happy. Like, I'm happy. My life is good. I can't complain. Like, I actually cannot complain about my life. Like, it would be crazy to complain right now. So yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. So I was in Hawaii last week for various reasons, some of which I can't talk about, but partially it was kind of like vacation, and it was so beautiful, literally like one of the most beautiful places on earth that I've seen. Everything was like so saturated, all the colors like super, super saturated. The blues are very blue, the greens are very green, like the ocean was like extra oceany, if you know what I mean. And, I had a really good time. It was great. I loved being in the sun. I felt like I was like super soaking all of the vitamin D that I didn't get for the last 6 months of being in Toronto. And it was awesome. And it's also a very, how do I say this? Like, I could tell that Hawaii is just like a very like spiritually intense place. Like, I felt like the energy on the island was very, very intense. And me personally, I'm like sensitive to these things. And the island that we were on is Maui. And I kept getting the feeling of like, I don't know, like, I don't think tourists are supposed to be there. I'll just say that. Like, I don't think I would go back for that very reason. Yeah, like, I don't think tourists are supposed to be there. And I know that there's like a lot of stuff around like tourism on the islands of Hawaii and like tensions around that. And I totally get it. And after being there, I get it in like a different kind of way, like just energetically. I feel like, And maybe this is what this voice note is going to be about, just kind of tapping back into some spiritual things that I haven't really talked about lately. I feel like I've been so focused on music and, what's going on in my career right now. Like, I'm trying to launch this new album soon, but I feel like my spirituality and just, the things that I'm interested in have been popping up more and more, and I want to go back and revisit them. So the other day I was hanging out with a friend of mine and we went to this magic shop here in Toronto, and I haven't been in one in so long, and it was just like giving me flashbacks to when I was living in Vancouver, and I would spend my days just like walking all around the city alone and going to these little magic stores that have like crystals and books and incense, like, that vibe, you know what I'm talking about. But I remember that time very fondly because it was a time where I felt like I was really in touch with myself spiritually and in touch with the world spiritually as well. And anyway, so we went to the store and I found this book on predictive astrology, and it's by Francis Sequoian and Louis S. Acker. Essentially, it's all about transits, and it's kind of like this little guide of like each of the transits. So it'll give you little paragraphs on like, what does it mean when this planet is transiting this house, or when this planet makes an aspect to this other planet, etc., etc. And I was just thinking about the fact that both Saturn and Neptune are going into Aries this year, and they're also going to be conjuncting in Aries. So I was like, all right, let me look that up and see what the vibe is for the collective. Do you guys remember when I used to make astrology content. Like, the real ones remember when I used to make astrology content. Literally, I used to be on my fucking Zoom, on TikTok, and on Patreon and Instagram even. Like, I started an astrology business, and that was really fun. I remember that time so fondly. Like, I just remember just being able to like deep dive into this stuff and like share some of the things that I am really passionate about and are just like very important to me in my life. But then I stopped because I don't know, like those astrology communities online can be really fucking weird. It's just like filled with a lot of people who are on the edges of schizophrenia, and just also a lot of like delusional kind of thinking, which is not really my vibe with this. Like, I really like to take like a grounded approach to a lot of things. Like, I love woo woo, I really do, but I need it to be grounded. I need it to be like connected to something tangible and something material, so I feel like I can grasp it in my hand, you know, I have something to hold on to. So anyway, so Neptune just ingressed into Aries on March 30th, and Saturn is going to ingress into Aries in May. I don't have the exact date, but it's going to happen in May. So they're going to be co-present in Aries, but then they go retrograde for a little while in Pisces, and then they come back to being in Aries for 2026, like for good. So when they do that, they're going to conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries next year. I misspoke. I think I said 2025 earlier, but it's actually 2026. They'll be conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries in February of 2026. I don't have the exact date, but that is a very special occasion. It's something that truly like does not happen often. I think it's been like over 200 years since the last time they were conjunct in this sign. So, you know, it's something interesting, it's something new, it's like a whole new cycle that's starting, and especially at 0 degrees of Aries, like that is essentially the start of the zodiacal wheel. It's the start of the entire zodiac. Like, I find that very significant because Aries as a sign is all about like the spark, first light, you know, it is the first sign of the zodiac, and 0 degrees, you're starting off things. So there's this energy of new beginnings, like a true new beginning, like a whole new cycle, whole new book, not even to mention a new chapter. It's a whole new book. I expect that something really crazy and intense is going to happen on like a global scale. Like, we're going to be seeing the themes of that this year. I'm sure that it has, you know, something to do with the economy, as we've seen, but I think it's even beyond that. I think it's like more political rather than economical, because I associate Aries with like war and political leaders and heads of states and nations and stuff. It's the ram. It's also a very like masculine sign. It's Mars ruled, so it has all of that energy in it. So anyway, in this book, the predictive astrology book I was talking about, it's more so like the interpretations are for natal charts, but you can just like take that and apply it on a global scale. So I'm going to read the little section about transiting Saturn conjunct natal Neptune, but just take it as like Saturn conjunct Neptune. That's going to happen in February of 2026. Okay, so it says, steady concentration and a psychological focus characterize this transit. Business activities related to art, music, entertainment, photography, chemicals, drugs, hospitals, asylums, universities, and cultural institutions are often associated with this transit. Some individuals develop an interest in cultural history and in the religious, artistic, and cultural traditions of foreign countries. This is a favorable period for meditation and serious disciplines. There's often an increased capacity for practical visualization of how to achieve one's important purposes and goals. Emotional depression can arise as a result of the stimulation of painful or unpleasant subconscious memories of past experiences. The individual should face these honestly and understand them for what they are. Otherwise, they can be the cause of irrational or inappropriate behavior. Irrational fears and anxieties can bring about the individual's undoing. Institutionalization is a possibility if this conjunction is afflicted. Brooding and self-pity should be avoided at all costs. They will prevent the individual from finding honest solutions to his or her challenges and psychological problems. Dangerous psychic practices such as seances are especially to be avoided during this transit. Sorry, I have to laugh. Dangerous psychic practices, seances. You know what? That's fucking real. Like, I've never been to a seance and I never want to be at one. Like, I do not play when it comes to like dead people and ghosts and stuff. Oh, I don't like that. Anyway, okay, it says uncertainties can arise in business, in partnerships, and in family affairs. Afflictions to this conjunction can indicate deception in business, legal, and professional affairs, as well as the possibility of public disgrace and scandal. Astrology books are just always so dramatic. Like, sometimes I'll like read ancient astrology texts and it's always like plague, pestilence, death. Like, it's so intense. Anyway, okay, it says some individuals become involved with professional or governmental secrecy or business or political intrigues. Although secret enemies can stand in the way of the individual's success, should this conjunction be afflicted, they are usually more imagined than real, and the individual may end up as his or her own worst enemy. Okay, so reading this is very interesting. Like, when I take this and think about it like on a global scale, I definitely see these themes. Like, I really do think we're going to see a lot of stuff around like the muddling of politics. Honestly, like, politics have already started being like a fucking clown show. Like, that's no surprise. Like, our politicians are clowns and this is a circus, and you know, we're all here for the show. But I find that what I'm getting from this like Saturn conjunct Neptune transit in Aries is truly like almost like a real muddling around the question of state sovereignty, muddling around the questions of war and political violence. I really think we're going to see an increase in just like random acts of political violence happening, and the genesis and reasoning behind them is not going to be clear. That's kind of what Neptunian energy does. Like, I find Neptune and Pisces like really difficult energies to work with because, well, I'm Saturnian and like I like things to be like clear, concise, and just like straightforward. And Neptune is the opposite of that. Like, Neptunian energy is illusions, it's shadows, it's like fantasy, and it's delusions as well too. Like, straight up just like things that are not real. It's not grounded in reality. It's never grounded in reality. And so on a world scale, this meeting of Saturn with this like, you could say like quite deceptive energy of Neptune, I think is going to cause a lot of confusion. It's going to cause a lot of confusion. And I think that it is out of this confusion that new forms and new realities are going to emerge. Because at the same time, there's that Neptunian energy, but it's still in Aries, right? Which is about the new. It's about the beginning of things. So it's like something is going to arise that has never been seen before. It's like going to be something completely new, something that is also, I think, going to be unpredictable. Like, it's hard to predict these things. Like, how do you predict the new, right? How do you predict something that you've never seen before, something you've never gone through before? You can't. So I think we're just going to see like a true we're going to see like a whole new world for real, for real, for real. And with Saturn there as well, there is something around the concretizing of this new reality, because that's what Saturn loves to do, is to concretize things, to like make things material and real and unmovable and unshakable. Saturn is like the building blocks of reality. It is the foundation of a thing, which is why like when you go through your Saturn return, a lot of the times you can feel like you're being made to start over and over and over again until you get it right. There's a sense of like making sure that something is sturdy. So we still have that Saturnian influence there for however long, you know, Saturn's going to be in Aries. So something new is being brought forth out of confusion, and it is being concretized in our society. We'll see what it is, because this is also happening during, I believe the sun is going to be in Aquarius at the same time that this conjunction happens, which is going to be co-present with Pluto, which, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years or so. So we also have some sort of destruction energy going on. Basically it's just intense astrology. I don't think it's all going to be doom and gloom. I always like to look on the positive side of these things, but just being aware of the energetic factors at play. Something new is coming into fruition, and it's something that is going to affect the world, globally across the world. And that also means that it's going to affect individuals as well too, because Aries is a very individual sign. It's about the self, the person, and Pluto in Aquarius is kind of the age of the individual as well, in a different kind of way. And I think it's also something that's going to happen kind of fast and furious, because Aries is Mars energy, and Mars energy is the energy of action. It's the energy of the will, of acting upon the material world. So we're going to see a lot, there's a lot that's going to be happening. And I decided to just look it up just now, but a Sabian symbol for 0 to 1 degrees of Aries is a woman rises out of water, a seal rises and embraces her, which I think is very interesting when I think about Capricorn, right? Which is Saturnian energy, and Capricorn is referred to as the sea goat. And this conjunction is happening between Saturn and Neptune. There is something of the sea goat even in all this imagery. It's giving a lot. And Neptune is, oh my God, Neptune is associated with the sea, with water. So there is a lot of the meeting of water and land energy that's happening with that conjunction. And the way that I'm interpreting that is through the almost like a Jungian lens of just the process of self-actualization, where you have to undergo the hero's journey in order to go from the fantasy of who you could be to become who you are. And there's a lot of layers to that. I really could go fucking deep on this shit. Tell me if you want me to, because I could go really, really deep, but it's very esoteric, very layered, with a lot of psychological understanding. And it's not common knowledge. It's just not common knowledge or things that I think a lot of people would get unless you're interested in depth psychology and mythology and all these kind of esoteric knowledge bases in science and stuff. But anyway, if we just take it at the surface level of okay, it's about the process of self-actualization, right? That conjunction, we can see that as a symbol of almost a global call towards self-actualization. So you're getting a taste of what that process could potentially look like for you this summer, and it'll come back around in February of next year, and really start to concretize itself, right? Remember that Saturnian influence. So just something to think about. This is especially pertinent for people who are Aries risings. Arguably, you could say Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer risings as well. If you have Aries placements, if you have luminaries in Aries, that also counts as well. But yeah, that's my little tidbit of astrology this morning. I guess too, I have been thinking a lot, obviously, about this process of self-actualization, considering everything I went through last year, which I'm not going to complain about right now. I promise I'm not going to complain about it. But yeah, self-actualization is a process. It's a lifelong thing. I think I used to think of it as just almost this thing that you go through in adolescence, right? It's okay, you have your teenage years and your young adulthood years, and this is when you're self-actualizing, and then you come to the end of that process and you are a person. You're actualized. You are yourself. But it is so much more cyclical than that, and it's also, there's no end point with self-actualization. I think we are just always becoming ourselves throughout the entirety of our lives, and that's the point of living a life, is to undergo that process of becoming yourself. And so I'm trying to get less wrapped up in this idea of like hitting certain like goalposts that would indicate to me that like, okay, I've become myself, because now I have this understanding that this is a never ending process. Like this is never going to stop. Like I'm never going to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I am myself. And this is where all, further development just like ends. That's not a realistic thing. I think that just like having that in mind is really helpful for just going through life and living life in a way where you're not so tied to outcomes and you're more so tied to processes. Like that's how I feel like I'm reorienting myself this year, is just caring more about the process than the outcome of whatever it is that I'm doing. I think that that's also like so much of the thesis of my next album and the thesis of this next phase of my career, where it's like I want to enjoy the process. I want to become better through the process, like the process is now like the fertile ground, and the process is where all the magic happens. Like, and I really feel that because I can just like tell like the differences, and like, now this is my second album, so I've been through the process of making an album once before, and I'm going through it again, of like this whole rigmarole and stuff again. And I'm like, okay, I want to learn new things about myself and about the world and about people. Like I want to challenge myself in the process of this experience rather than trying to elicit a certain outcome out of it. And it sounds like really basic to say it that way, but there's a difference between like understanding something logically and understanding it in like a really embodied way. And I feel like I'm starting to understand it in a very embodied way, where I'm observing myself through the processes of things and seeing more of the like day-to-day kind of changes that are happening to me. I'm finding that a lot more rewarding. I don't know about you guys, but it's always about the little things, It's the little things that make up a life. It's the little things that make up happy moments. And I feel like now I have an embodied understanding of this truth, and it's helping me to enjoy my life like way more on like a day-to-day basis now, instead of living for like moments, right? There's a lot of time in between moments. There's a lot of time in between big moments. What are you going to do the rest of that time in between, from moment to moment, right? Because a moment only lasts for so long. So it's like more about getting into this place where it's about like focusing on these like smaller increments. I feel like that is something I'm going to prioritize for this year, is like focusing on the smaller increments, focusing on those smaller like in between moments, and making that the goal. And it makes sense. It also lines up with my human design, which is like a whole other thing. I could get into it if you really want me to, but yeah, I'm feeling happier, definitely feeling more content. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say in this voice note. I've got to get ready now. I've got to go get my nails done. And then I'm going to walk around because it's kind of a sunny day. It's a little cold outside, but it's sunny. So I'm going to try to make the most of the day. But yeah, okay. I love you guys. Mwah.